decide, okay, this is what I want to do, especially coming from where you were living?
Well, my dad was in the Army during Vietnam, so just kind of had that service kind of thinking, I guess you could say. Just I actually moved to the other side of the state and finished high school over there, and I just kind of got a good relationship with recruiters there, and
There you go.
already kind of thought about doing that anyway, and just went in.
Were you looking at other branches or it was always Army?
Well, the Marine Corps offered me like every job but like rocket scientist, but I just my dad wouldn't my dad wouldn't put up with it.
For
He
obvious
disowned me.
reasons.
He disowned me.
So you joined right out of school?
Yeah,
Awesome. What year was that for you?
1994.
So how was boot camp?
It wasn't too bad. I mean, it was it was actually a little easier than what I expected it to be. Probably watched too many military movies growing up.
You know, you got a military father, so it helps a little bit.
Yeah, a little bit. Um, I mean, it's hard, but you know, they're trying to teach you to be disciplined and learn how to follow instructions, or as they call them, orders, and stuff like that. So you know, it's a learning curve and a bit of a learning experience. Plus, being from a small town and a little small area that I'd always lived in, getting to meet a lot of new people from different backgrounds and different nationalities and stuff like that was I enjoyed it. But it's definitely something you got, you know, it's definitely something you learn kind of while you're going through that experience too with the rest of them.
Definitely. I know most people do not pick the job that they want to do. So what did you end up doing, and is that what you wanted?
Well, I actually was given the designation 11 X-ray, which means needs of the military. So basically, they pick your job, which I didn't really care. I just wanted to serve in the infantry somewhere, and so at the time, I think the designations have changed now, but like 11 Bravo was just basically a foot soldier. 11 Charlie Mortarman, which is what I got into. 11 Delta was the guys that drive on the Humvees and shoot the Dragon missile systems. Uh, and then Romeo would have been the real trained radio techs back then. That's when they first had the Singars radios to come out. So it did require a little extra training, which I got later on down the road because I actually was the radio tech for my mortar platoon quite often. But yeah, got trained on the whole shooting the 9mm pistol thing instead of just the M16s and all of that when we actually got into out of basic training and into AIT, Advanced Individual Training. And then that was all done in Fort Benning, Georgia.
Mm-hmm.
And then after that was done and I graduated from there, I went into another 2 weeks in Fort Benning where I went through airborne school. And then I was sent to Fort Bragg.
Ooh, wow. Wait, so were you jumping out of planes?
Hmm.
Oh, wait, so paratrooper?
Yes.
Oh my God. So how was that experience?
It's not bad. It's something that you learn how to hit the ground without breaking your ankles and stuff, which I still kind of use a lot of that stuff that they taught us to do what I do now. Sometimes jumping out of a pickup truck or something like that onto the ground, you know, from a little farther up than I probably should at times. But
What's that? Do you remember the first experience of jumping out of the plane?
I can't say I remember it specifically, but I mean, we did our 5 jumps in the first week and everything, and it's an interesting experience. I mean, you sit in the plane, they do their countdowns. You basically just kind of walk out on the static line, and you know, out of the plane you go, and then the next thing you know, you're look up and your chute's open, and then you're kind of looking down as you get closer to the ground, trying to, you know, kind of see where you're going to land and start getting your feet together and everything so you can land and not break your knees or anything when you land on the ground. Um, Probably one of the worst jumps I ever had was one of the only times I ever jumped outside of Fort Bragg. We actually did a FTX in Arkansas rattlesnake drop zone. That was the worst jump I ever had. I hit like a ton of bricks, and I didn't get hurt, but it was by far the worst landing I ever had. I part of the chute got caught in a tree. I didn't get hung up, but part of the chute got caught in a tree, and I just slammed into the ground pretty good. Um, so, but other than that, I mean, and the fact that I'm probably an inch or so shorter from jumping out of planes for a while.
I was gonna say, did you do that your whole career?
Yes.
Oh wow! So how long were you in the military?
About 3 years.
Oh, I was about to say I've talked to another paratrooper before, and they say it can be a painful job.
Yeah, it's definitely something over time that if you did it for a lot of years, you would, probably have some serious cartilage issues, compression problems, and arthritis when you get older, which I'm probably looking forward to myself. But
So when did it hit for you that you were like, all right, it's time to kind of hang it up?
well, I mean, my first enlistment was coming up, and honestly, the military itself was great. It's just the way that it was being run at the time. It just didn't seem to me like it was something I wanted to continue to do. Mainly because I was in a infantry platoon, and we did very little training and stuff like that back then. A lot of the military budget had been cut by the then Clinton administration, and because of that, we really didn't train a lot. We stayed in the barracks most of the time, or we were on some sort of a detail. They actually have division readiness factors, and we were in what's called 7, 8, and 9 most of the time, which is you do things like division review, all kinds of guard duties and things of that nature, where you can't train because you can't go out, you can't jump because you're on too small a recall to be able to do those types of things. Plus, and then when you're in 1, 2, and 3, you're on 2-hour recall, so you can't really do anything except just kind of keep stuff ready in case anything kicks off anywhere and we have to go somewhere. 4, 5, and 6, that was the sweet spot. We were very rarely ever there. I think our lieutenant colonel was trying to get his bird, and he was giving our 4, 5, and 6 to the other battalions or something, because I swear we very rarely ever got into the field and did much training. So because of that, it really just wasn't for me anymore at that point. I mean, I got a lot of great experience, like I said, learning to talk to people from different backgrounds and things like that, things that I didn't know before I came in, and a lot of discipline, a lot of organizational things that I still carry through to this day. I still pretty much remember all the stuff I was taught, and I still march everywhere I go. So
So I think so it was like 98 when you retired then?
Yeah, 97, 98, somewhere in that area.
So we hit that time, and then what do you figure out what to do next? Or were you in Charlotte, or were you around, or how did you end up here?
Well, I actually had a friend in my battalion that was from here, and I'd come up here and visited a few times, and I'd made friends with some of his friends, and when it was time to get out, I just didn't really want to go home, so I figured, well, I'll just try to see what I can do here, and if things don't work out, I can always go home and start again and stuff like that. But and then I met my wife, and the rest, as they say, is history. So.
She kept you here. So how did you get on with the city?
Well, actually, I worked as a temp. I started back in 2007. I started as a temp for about 3 or 4 months through a place called Metro Staffing, which the city doesn't work with anymore, but they did then, for drivers. And I came in back about 3 years before we stopped doing the red recycling bins. And I did yard waste 2 to 3 days a week and recycling 2 to 3 days a week, just kind of depended on the rotation. And then not too long before I got hired on permanently, I asked the supervisor if he could let me know in advance the day before whether or not I was going to be doing which service I was going to be in, so I could kind of plan accordingly. And so I guess he took that to be that I didn't want to do the one or the other anymore, so he gave me a recycling route and just said, hey, here's a recycling route, I got your truck ready and everything. I was like, okay. So. And
that's how it began?
Yeah, pretty much.
So permanently, was it the following year, or was it still 2017?
No, it was still 2007.
2007.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I've been with the city for 18 years.
Oh, so. Man, how does it feel saying that?
Well, Uh, it's the longest position I've ever held, definitely. Um, most places I worked before I came here, and probably didn't stay more than 2 or 3 years at, just seemed like just wasn't for me, whatever it was. And then I came here and it was almost like the military again. It was service oriented, and I think that's probably why I've been able to stay as long as I have.
I love it. How's it been too, just working your way up through the ranks,
It's
essentially?
been, well, I mean, it's been good. I did the recycling for about 3 years before they let that go, and then uh, I was selected to go to automation instead of going to yard waste when that's the only two things they had left at that point. And then I did that for a good bit, and then I was able to go into training for supervision, and about a little under 2 years ago now, probably, and then I was selected. They put a position up there. I was encouraged to apply for it, and I got it. So,
Here you are.
yep.
I love it. What do you enjoy about your job?
I like the challenge. Leading the crews as opposed to doing my own work it's a lot different, but that's kind of what I was looking for. Before I actually got into the supervisor training, I had actually applied to go into either the sweeping or I actually applied for a contract monitor position. I didn't get either one of those, and then they said it had been selected for this training, and I was like, okay, well, I'll get some good training out of it. Never really thought that I was going to end up being a supervisor as soon as I did. I figured it'd probably be a little bit longer term, but I guess I did a good enough job that they decided it was time for me to move up. So
There you go.
there you go.
The city loves to promote within. That's something I've learned.
Yep.
The ERN. How'd you find out about the ERN?
Well, I think it was mentioned at some required training that we had that they encouraged people to join, and I happened to see the Humvee when it was first starting, and I wished I'd been able to make it to more of the events and stuff but they're usually during the work day, and I just can't really get off because of the type of job I have during the work day to just go and kind of socialize somewhat. Maybe later on down the line when it's a little bit less hectic, I'll be able to do it, but I'm still kind of learning my way in this job, so I don't really feel too comfortable about just going off to go do stuff like that myself anyway, so I'm really not going to ask. If they told me to do it, I guess I would, but
Well, I think, regardless though, I think how important is just having a space in the city where you can network or talk to other veterans.
well, I think it's important for all of the employee relations networks because they encourage people that don't necessarily go with that particular organization, that particular thing. Like, they don't specifically say you need to be a veteran to join Humvee. And I think that's a good thing because people that don't have any idea, don't have any military experience they can join and they can learn, they can talk to veterans, they can kind of see what we go through, they can kind of see, the types of things that we can teach them, and they can teach us things too. So, I think it's a good give and take that way, the way they've got it set up. I think it's whoever came up with the idea that it wasn't going to be, if it's a veterans network, then only veterans can join, or if it's a women's network, then only women can join, or something like that. I think it being open to everybody is a good thing.
I love that. You were mentioning a lot earlier what you've gained from the military, but if you can share again, how have you been able to use those skills in your job and with your roles within the city?
Well, I think it helps me to be able to get along with pretty much anybody, depending on whatever their background is and stuff like that. I try to see things from their point of view as much as possible, and I try to help them see my point of view too. But at the same time, I think it just makes it a lot easier for me to relate to people because I've had a lot of experience with that in the military, and the time that I have been in the city, I've been able to deal with a lot of different people from different backgrounds and nationalities, races, religions, and stuff like that. So I think it's helped me a lot. I don't know if I would have been ready for a position like this, 10 years ago or something like that necessarily. I may have been, but it would have been more difficult, I think, to actually be able to relate to people as well as I can now because I've had a lot more time in doing that.
What is next for you? You've got 18 years down. I think everyone I talk to has a number. Do you have your retirement number or kind of what's next?
Well, plan to stay here till I'm 65, which I think will put me about 32 or 33 years service. So I don't plan on going anywhere unless they, insist that I do. Um, Barring something happening down the line, of course, like, some kind of health thing could happen. I don't have any idea about that, but right now I don't plan on leaving anytime soon. Uh, if I can move from this position after I feel like I've, gotten this down up to another position, and that'll be great. If not, I can stay where I'm at. I did the automation driver thing for a really long time, and I would have stayed there if I had to. It's just I just wanted to try to spread out and learn something new, get some new skills and things like that, which I have. So I've been appreciative of that. And
I love it. Kind of last thing is I ask everybody, but how has the military changed your life?
well, like I said, I think it opened my eyes to a lot of differences in people. I grew up in a very small town. We didn't have a lot of diversity in pretty much anything. Um, and so, because of that, when I first came into the military, I really just didn't know a lot about people, and I just tried to be open and learn as much as I could about different people and how they relate to people, and how people from big cities, especially places like Miami or something like that, or people from out in the heartland, kind of where I live, but farther away, maybe Iowa or something like that. Um, and then people from like Texas or Georgia and stuff like that. The country is a huge melting pot, and it's a great thing because it's what really makes us strong. It makes us so strong as a country, is the fact that we've got all these different people and all these different perspectives, and that makes it very easy to get synergism at a huge rate in any problem we try to solve. Whereas countries like European countries or African countries by themselves or something like that, that are more based in just one specific religion type, or racial things, religions, backgrounds, and things like that, they don't have that. And so when a problem comes to them, they have basically one way to solve it. Whereas in the United States, we have people that can put in all kinds of different perspectives, and then you can come up with a solution that's so much better than you could come up with on your own.